My name's Cassie, and tonight I'm going to be showing you how to take an old jar or bottle and turn it into a container for your kitchen that can hold dry goods or spices, something like that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I have a taco sauce jar here that I'm going to be using for my demonstration. So the first thing that we're going to do is peel the label off of the jar. So on these kind of jars, it can be a little bit tough to get all the paper part off of it. So you're just going to peel it off, get as much off as you can. Like that. Then what we're going to do is put on some gloves, because we're going to be using a remover that's pretty strong, so you're going to want to wear some gloves for this part. And you'll need a dry cloth. And what we're going to be using is Goof. This is really good. You can pick it up at a local hardware store, and this takes off any kind of adhesive basically. So I really like to use this for this. So we're going to put some on our dry rag here. And then we're just going to take it and run it right across any of those parts that are left on there that are still sticky. And also on most jars that have product in them, you'll have a use by date on there somewhere. This stuff will actually take that right off of the jar as well, so you'll be able to take that off of there. So as you can see, that's starting to come off there. If you get to a point and you can't really get any more off of it, or it's starting to get kind of tough, you can just reapply on a different spot of your rag a little bit more. And then kind of go back over it again. Also get those use by dates there, come right off the jar. And you'll just continue to do that however long it takes until you get a nice clean surface there, okay? I already have a jar that's done, and this one was actually just an old Starbucks bottle. So we're going to use this one to go ahead and finish our project. So the first thing that you want to do is pick out a label of some sort for the bottle. So I decided to use a paper label here, and this is where you really can get creative with this and use whatever you want. I think that cloth would look really nice if you had a particular cloth that would maybe match your kitchen, or you can use different types of paper that you've cut out, whatever you like you can use on this. But I think these pre-made tags are really simple and really easy. I also use stickers for my labeling. Again, don't limit yourself to just stickers. If you like to use stamps, you could definitely stamp this product, or if you have really nice handwriting, you could write it out as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take my label here, and I'm going to use an adhesive called Glass Bond. This works really well for attaching anything to glass. You can attach either glass to glass, metal, but it also works on paper, so we're going to go ahead and use that. When applying it to the back of your tag, you want to pay close attention to your edges and make sure that you get it all the way to the edge of the paper so that the outer lining isn't coming off of the bottle at all. So we're going to start there, and then we're just going to kind of fill in on the center here. It doesn't have to be too much or too thick, just a nice coating. And then we're going to apply it to the jar. So you just can kind of pick at what height you want it on your jar. I like to put it up a little bit there, center it, and then just wrap it around. And if it's not exactly where you want it, don't worry about it. You can move this. You have plenty of time before this adhesive actually dries all the way. And any excess glue that you may have is no big deal. We can actually wipe that off at the later. It'll come right off there, okay? So we're just going to put that on there for now, and we're going to set that aside. Next thing that we want to do, I have some decorative tape here to add a little bit of a finishing touch and start to make it look a little bit more decorative. We're going to take this and add it around the top. So what you're going to do, I'm going to cut off this top piece here. It's a little bit bent. What you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're just going to run it right around the lip of the jar. So you can use the bottom of the lip there as kind of your outline. And then just follow that all the way around. Now when you get back to the other side, you're going to have a seam where we're going to cut this, where the tape comes together. And that's okay, because we're going to be covering that up with a flower embellishment here in just a second. Okay, so that's where we're at so far. Next, you don't have to use these type flowers. I think that they're really cute. They're really inexpensive. You can get, you know, a whole big pack like this for, you know, $5 at Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to use a couple of those. I'm going to use the same adhesive, the Glass Bond, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to set it, put a little bit on there on the back of the flower, and then also a little bit on the jar where I'm actually going to stick it to. And your best bet is to let this sit for just a couple minutes. It doesn't have to be too long, just enough for those two to get tacky, and then they're going to stick together better and hold better. So while we're letting that kind of fester there, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to spray paint our top of our bottle here. So I recommend using spray paint that you have already lying around. No reason to go out and purchase a whole can of spray paint for this small project. But if you're going to do several of these and maybe have a whole shelf of them, then if there's a particular color that you think would look good, then I think that's great. So when you go to spray paint the lid, a couple things to keep in mind. You don't have to completely cover it. You want to cover the top that has the label, but as far as the edges go, if you miss some spots, I think it actually looks really cool. I have one over here that still has a little bit of the original color showing on it, and I think it makes it look neat. Or you can cover it all the way, whatever you prefer. So when you go to spray paint it, you just want to have a nice steady hand. You don't want to be too close to it, because if you get super close to the cap, then it'll bubble up or it'll get runny. So you just want to kind of hold it at a good distance and just lightly spray it. And like I said, I'm not going to focus too much on the edges because I kind of like the you know, some of the original colors showing through there, but I just want to get that top covered. So I'm all done with that, and I'm going to let that dry. At this point, I'm going to come back to my jar now, and I'm going to take my first flower and stick it on there. Okay. And remember, like I said, if you're having any issues with your label, you still have plenty of time to rearrange that. And then I'm going to take my second little flower here and put that on top of the first one. Okay, and I already had a lid done that's ready to go, so I'm going to take that and put it back on it. One really good thing about, you know, these jars that food have come in or a drink has come in is they actually make a really nice seal. So if you're going to store actual spices in here and not use this for decoration and actually use it for a purpose, then these lids work really well to seal it back on there. And you can get as creative as you want. I've thought about maybe drilling holes into the tops of these so I can actually use them as shakers. You know, there's a lot of possibilities with something this simple. And then we already have our finished products. Like I said, there is a little bit of cleanup involved usually, where you're gonna, you know, after this is really good and dry, go around and the glue you can literally just rub off, and it'll ball up and come right off of there. But for the most part, we're done. And I have a few other ones over here that are some of my finished products. So we have like a little pepper jar here, salt. I do have some featured without the lid too. If you wanted to use them in that respect, you could. Sugar here. And that's it. So just a really simple, inexpensive project that you can do for your kitchen. Thanks for watching.